What's going on, guys? Welcome to this free training on conditioning for combat sports. I am super excited to bring this to you, so let's get started. Before we dive in, a little bit about myself. My name is Christian Cioffi. I am the CEO and founder of the Fighters Performance Institute, and I'm a former wrestler, current jiu-jitsu competitor, and I got my master's degree in exercise and sport science in 2019. And ever since then, I've been working as a collegiate strength and conditioning coach. And just within the past year, I decided to go out and do this on my own. I also had a massive conditioning issue when I was a wrestler, and when I first started jiu-jitsu, I was puking every time I came off the mat. So now that I've got that in check, I wanted to make this training to show you how I did it. So what we're going to talk about today is, number one, what are the three systems that create energy in the body? Why isn't just rolling or just doing my sport enough? How do I then improve my conditioning? And how much conditioning should I do? So there's a lot going on this first page, but bear with me here. There are three systems in the body that create energy. I call them fast, medium, and slow. And their scientific names are here as well. And you'll notice that they all have very different parameters. So the fast system, very short amount of time that it can create energy. It needs a lot of rest to recover, and you have to work at maximal intensity. So you'll see on the chart here, the blue is the ATP-PC, or the fast system. You can see that it accounts for almost all energy production, basically up to 10 seconds. And then the medium system, or the glycolytic system, starts to take over. And then when that gets fatigued, the oxidative system takes over. So you can see how these work to rest ratios and these intensities might change which energy system we're using. So can you get your conditioning from the mats or practice? Possibly, but it's quite difficult. Most jiu-jitsu classes are not going to create an optimal stimulus for one of these or all of these systems. So it's likely going to be too much or not enough rest, or too much or not enough intensity. So we generally have to train these systems individually. One caveat to that, though, is striking combat sports are pretty good about producing an aerobic or oxidative or slow system training effect. So if you participate in any of the striking sports pretty consistently, you might not have to worry about that system. But jiu-jitsu, unfortunately, we do. So let's look at training the fast system. Once again, it's up to 10 seconds of work, a 1 to 12 work to rest ratio. So if we work for 10 seconds, we take 120 seconds of rest. And therefore, we have recovered enough that we can go at max intensity. So some examples of this are lifting weights when it is a strength or power block. So we're doing high intensity, low volume, or sprinting, jumping, throwing at maximal intent. So if you just jump and you half-ass it, you're not going to get the effect that you want. So maximal intent is the name of the game there. And it is nearly impossible to train this system during practice because with the amount of rest it takes, we just don't have enough time. But fortunately, we do it in the weight room. The medium system, also known as the puking system, is 30 to 90 seconds of work with a 1 to 3 work to rest ratio. And it is still very intense. You still must go all out to get the training effect that you want. And as you can see in this picture here, we call it the puking system because it often causes people to puke. And it's caused by an accumulation of hydrogen that makes it acidic, makes your stomach not feel good, you get nauseous. And if you are anything like I used to be, you would puke after almost every match. And then we have the slow system. There are two parts to this. There's aerobic capacity and aerobic power. And we have the walking gas tank himself, Merab, here because he's got an insane gas tank. But the aerobic system we split up into two parts because there's two things that we need to train separately. So let's look at the first piece, aerobic capacity. It's basically how long can you go? How long can you use oxygen and not collapse, essentially. It increases mitochondria and capillary density when you are training this system, which basically makes us more efficient at using oxygen and moving it around the body. And to train aerobic capacity, we basically just do long duration, low intensity, continuous exercise. It's the most simple one to train. And for combat sports, you probably need to build up to like 45 minutes, maybe an hour, but any more than that is almost definitely overkill. And then let's look at the second piece of the aerobic system, or the slow system, aerobic power. We also call this VO2 max. So here you can see me taking a VO2 max test on the bike. I've got my little cone head, and basically just what this is how long can you sustain these high intensities. So yes, you can probably produce a crazy high intensity for 30 to 90 seconds, but can you sustain those high intensities over longer periods of time? And to train aerobic power, what we're going to be doing is intense intervals with a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio. And when I say intense, I mean relatively. So it's not going to be as intense as training the fast system or the glycolytic, the medium system, but it's going to be intense as far as aerobic training goes. So you're going to be putting in a lot of effort, but you're not going to be moving nearly as fast as if you got more rest. And generally, I have my athletes do 60 seconds on, 60 seconds off, because that's enough to get the training effect that we want. So how much conditioning should you actually do? It totally depends on your jiu-jitsu or striking schedule, what type of work you do. If you have a laborious job, you're not going to be able to do a ton of conditioning. How often you lift, and then other outside stressors. So I usually tell my clients 12 sessions of total exercise per week max, and that could be a session of jiu-jitsu, a session of striking in one day, or a session of the sport, a session of lifting, or a session of the sport and conditioning, whatever combination. But it's likely that no more than 2 days of just conditioning or 2 sessions of just conditioning a week is recommended. Because with all the other stuff you're doing, it's going to be hard on your body to add in a lot more conditioning. So if you are a professional athlete, that's a different story, because you probably don't have a job, your nutrition is taken care of, it's likely that you're getting adequate sleep, theoretically. So the other stressors are less of a concern, so we can add a little bit more training. But if you have a job and you have all this other stuff going on, it's likely that no more than 2 sessions a week is recommended. So that's it for this training. If you want to find out more or work with me one-on-one, I offer custom training plans that include strength conditioning, nutrition. You have 24/7 access to me. We have a community with events, both in person and online. And I help you come up with a competition readiness plan that basically incorporates your warm-up, what you're going to eat on competition day, and how to mentally prepare properly so that you know you're dialed in when you're ready to step on the mat or in the cage, whatever it may be. So thank you again for watching this training. I'm super excited for you to take a look at it. And if you want more information or you want to work with me one-on-one, just shoot me a DM on Instagram at Christian C. Fit or the Fighters Performance Institute, and I will see you there.